Pakistan's history begins over 5,000 years ago with the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the world's earliest and most advanced urban cultures. Spanning parts of modern-day Pakistan and northwest India, this civilization thrived along the Indus River and its tributaries. At the heart of this ancient world were cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, which were remarkable for their planned layouts, sophisticated drainage systems, and brick architecture. Streets were carefully aligned in a grid pattern, and houses were equipped with private wells and bathrooms, a testament to the civilization's advanced engineering skills. Trade was a cornerstone of Indus society. They exchanged goods like cotton, beads, pottery, and metals not only locally but also with distant regions such as Mesopotamia, showing that these early Pakistanis were part of a thriving international network. Archaeological evidence also suggests a high level of craftsmanship, from intricately carved seals to finely made jewelry. Despite the passage of millennia, much of their writing system remains undeciphered, leaving many aspects of their culture, beliefs, and government shrouded in mystery. Yet, what is clear is that the Indus Valley Civilization laid a strong cultural and technological foundation for later societies in the region. Visual suggestions for YouTube. Aerial shots or 3D reconstructions of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. Close-ups of ancient brick streets, drainage channels, and wells. Animated trade routes connecting Indus Valley to Mesopotamia. Illustrations of daily life, markets, artisans, and homes. Show examples of artifacts, pottery, beads, and seals. Life in the Indus Valley Civilization was surprisingly sophisticated and organized. Archaeological evidence shows that families lived in well-planned houses made of baked bricks, often with 2 or more stories, flat roofs, and courtyards. The houses were equipped with private wells, bathrooms, and drainage systems, highlighting the civilization's focus on hygiene and urban planning. The people were skilled farmers and traders. They grew crops such as wheat, barley, and cotton, and domesticated animals like cattle, goats, and chickens. Trade was vital. Merchants used standardized weights and measures, and evidence suggests they traded with regions as far away as Mesopotamia. Artisans thrived in Indus cities, creating beautiful pottery, jewelry, seals, and statues. Many seals were engraved with animals or symbolic script, possibly used for trade or administrative purposes. This indicates that the society had complex organization and possibly early forms of governance. Religious practices in the Indus Valley are still somewhat mysterious, but figurines and temple-like structures suggest that they worshipped fertility goddesses, nature deities, and sacred animals. The civilization also valued cleanliness and ritual purity, which may have influenced later South Asian religious traditions. Visual suggestions for YouTube. Animations of families going about daily life, cooking, farming, and trading. Close-ups of pottery, jewelry, and carved seals. A model or 3D reconstruction of a typical Indus Valley house with drainage and courtyard. Scenes of marketplaces and river trade using boats. Illustrations of religious figurines and small shrines. By around 1900 BCE, the once thriving Indus Valley civilization began to decline. The reasons are still debated, but historians and archaeologists suggest several factors may have contributed. Environmental changes played a key role. Shifts in river patterns, such as the drying up of the Ghaggar-Hakra River, may have disrupted agriculture and trade. Frequent flooding or droughts could have made cities less sustainable. Some scholars also suggest that internal social and economic changes weakened the urban system. Trade networks may have collapsed, and the centralized organization of cities may have gradually broken down. As the major cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa were abandoned, smaller settlements and villages emerged, marking a transition from urban centers to rural agrarian communities. These later communities laid the groundwork for the Vedic period, during which new cultures, languages, and religious ideas would arrive from the northwest. Despite the decline, the legacy of the Indus Valley Civilization lived on. Their advanced urban planning, trade practices, and artistic achievements influenced subsequent cultures across the Indian subcontinent, making the Indus Valley one of the most important foundations of Pakistan's ancient history. Visual suggestions for YouTube. Animation of river changes causing floods or droughts. scenes of abandoned streets and crumbling buildings of Mohenjo-Daro, illustrations of smaller villages emerging from the ruins of cities, timeline showing transition from Indus Valley to the Vedic culture, artifacts and pottery gradually changing styles over time. After the decline of the Indus Valley Civilization, around 1500 BCE, new cultural and social influences arrived in the region. This period, known as the Vedic period, saw the arrival of Indo-Aryan peoples who brought with them new languages, religious ideas, and social structures. During this time, society was organized into tribal kingdoms and small settlements along rivers like the Indus and Jhelum. The people relied on agriculture, cattle rearing, and trade, while gradually developing early forms of governance and administration. Religious life during the Vedic period centered around rituals, hymns, and the worship of natural forces such as the sun, rain, and rivers. This spiritual system, recorded in the Vedas, laid the foundation for later Hindu traditions. However, the region of present-day Pakistan was also a melting pot, where multiple cultures and beliefs coexisted. The Vedic period also saw the rise of Gandhara, an important cultural and trade region in northwest Pakistan. Gandhara became famous for its art, learning, and early Buddhist influence, bridging the cultural exchange between South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East. Visual suggestions for YouTube. Animated maps showing the migration and settlement of Indo-Aryan peoples. Illustrations of small villages and tribal kingdoms along the rivers. Rituals and Vedic ceremonies with fire altars and offerings. Early Gandhara sculptures and art influenced by Central Asia. Trade caravans and cultural exchanges along the Silk Road routes. Around the 7th and 8th centuries CE, Islam began to spread into the region that is now Pakistan, primarily through Arab traders, scholars, and conquerors. The city of Sindh, under the leadership of Muhammad bin Qasim in 711 CE, became the first major region in South Asia to come under Muslim rule. This period marked the beginning of a profound cultural and religious transformation. Islam introduced new administrative systems, legal frameworks, and education, while also encouraging trade and connections with the wider Islamic world. The region saw the growth of mosques, madrasas, and libraries fostering learning and scholarship. Cities such as Multan and Thatta became important centers of Islamic culture and trade, attracting merchants and scholars from the Middle East and Central Asia. Local cultures blended with Islamic traditions, creating a unique fusion of architecture, art, and literature. For example, mosques with intricate geometric designs and calligraphy reflected the emerging Islamic identity while respecting regional craftsmanship. This early Muslim influence set the stage for the rise of later Muslim empires in the region, including the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal Empire, which would leave a lasting legacy on Pakistan's history, culture, and society. Visual suggestions for YouTube. Map animation showing the Arab conquest of Sindh. Reconstructed visuals of early mosques and madrasas. Scholars teaching in madrasas, trade along the Indus River. Blend of Islamic and local architectural designs in early buildings. Illustrations of cultural fusion in art, pottery, and coins. From the 13th century onward, the region that is now Pakistan became part of the Delhi Sultanate, a series of Muslim dynasties that ruled much of northern India. The sultans established strong political and military control, introduced new systems of administration, and promoted Islamic culture and architecture. Later, in the 16th century, the Mughal Empire rose to power, bringing one of the most glorious and transformative periods in the region's history. The Mughals, who ruled from cities like Lahore and Thatta, left behind remarkable architectural masterpieces, such as Lahore Fort, Badshahi Mosque, and Shalimar Gardens, many of which still stand today. The Mughal era was also a time of economic prosperity and cultural flourishing. The empire encouraged trade, agriculture, and the arts. Persian, Central Asian, and South Asian cultures blended, influencing literature, painting, music, and cuisine in the region. Religion and scholarship thrived during this period. Sufi saints played a crucial role in spreading Islamic teachings and fostering tolerance, leaving a spiritual legacy that continues to influence Pakistan today. The Delhi Sultanate and Mughal Empire laid the foundations for modern Pakistan's culture, language, and architecture, linking the subcontinent to global trade and intellectual networks. Visual suggestions for YouTube, panoramic views or 3D reconstructions of Mughal forts, mosques, and gardens. Animated trade routes during the Mughal period. Illustrations of Sufi saints teaching and preaching. Mughal court scenes with music, art, and poetry. Blend of Persian and South Asian art in architecture and manuscripts. By the mid-19th century, the British East India Company had gained control over much of South Asia, including the regions that now form Pakistan. Following the 1857 rebellion, the British Crown formally established the British Raj, ushering in a period of colonial rule that lasted almost a century. Under British rule, the region saw the introduction of modern infrastructure, such as railways, roads, and telegraph systems, as well as Western-style education and administration. However, these developments were accompanied by economic exploitation, social disruption, and political control, fueling resentment among the local population. The struggle for independence gained momentum in the early 20th century. Leaders like Allama Iqbal and Muhammad Ali Jinnah advocated for the rights of Muslims, emphasizing the need for a separate homeland to protect cultural, religious, and political identity. The All India Muslim League, founded in 1906, became the leading political organization championing the vision of Pakistan, a nation for Muslims of the subcontinent. Through years of negotiation, political mobilization, and sometimes intense conflict, the movement gradually drew global attention. By 1947, after decades of struggle and the partition of British India, the dream of an independent Pakistan became reality, marking one of the most significant turning points in the history of South Asia. Visual suggestions for YouTube. Black and white photos or illustrations of British colonial buildings, railways and telegraphs, animated maps showing the expansion of British control, portraits and speeches of leaders like Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Allama Iqbal, scenes of political rallies, protests, and public gatherings. Illustration of the partition and migration movements. On August 14, 1947, Pakistan officially became an independent nation, fulfilling the vision of leaders like Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the country's founding father. Pakistan was created as a homeland for Muslims of the Indian subcontinent, consisting initially of West Pakistan, present-day Pakistan, and East Pakistan, present-day Bangladesh. The partition of British India was one of the largest and most tragic migrations in human history. Millions of people crossed borders, leaving homes behind, while communal violence claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Refugees arrived in the new nation with little more than hope and determination to build a better future. In its early years, Pakistan faced immense challenges. Establishing a functional government, developing infrastructure, and integrating diverse populations were top priorities. Despite these struggles, the country began to forge its identity, creating institutions for governance, education, and defense. Muhammad Ali Jinnah's vision for Pakistan emphasized unity, faith, and discipline, laying the foundation for a nation striving to balance tradition with modernity. These formative years set the stage for Pakistan's future growth and its role in regional and global affairs. Visual suggestions for YouTube. Archival footage or illustrations of Pakistan's first flag-raising and celebrations on August 14, 1947. Animated migration of people across borders, showing refugee movements. Early government buildings, schools, and infrastructure projects. Portraits of Muhammad Ali Jinnah delivering speeches. Scenes of communities rebuilding homes and lives after partition. After independence, Pakistan faced political instability and leadership challenges. Frequent changes in government, conflicts between civilian and military leadership, and regional tensions made nation-building difficult. Pakistan also faced conflicts with India, including wars in 1948 and 1965 over the disputed region of Kashmir, which left a lasting impact on both countries. Despite these challenges, Pakistan focused on economic development, establishing industries, expanding education, and modernizing infrastructure. The 1970s brought one of the most significant events in Pakistan's history, the separation of East Pakistan, and the creation of Bangladesh in 1971. Political disputes, cultural differences, and demands for autonomy led to civil war. The conflict ended with East Pakistan becoming the independent nation of Bangladesh, a major turning point for Pakistan. Despite these hardships, Pakistan continued to grow its economy, strengthen institutions, and maintain its identity as a sovereign nation. This period also saw the rise of social and cultural movements, including progress in literature, arts, and science, reflecting the resilience of the Pakistani people. Visual suggestions for YouTube, archival footage of political rallies, protests, and government sessions, animated maps showing the 1948 and 1965 wars with India, illustrations of economic projects, factories, roads, and schools, maps and scenes depicting the separation of East Pakistan and creation of Bangladesh, cultural images from literature, music, and art of the period. Today, Pakistan is a dynamic country with over 240 million people, rich in culture, natural beauty, and strategic importance. From the bustling streets of Karachi and Lahore to the majestic mountains of the north, Pakistan is a nation of diverse landscapes and vibrant communities. Politically, Pakistan has experienced democratic transitions, military rule, and constitutional reforms, reflecting the ongoing journey of a young nation balancing governance, justice, and stability. Despite challenges, civil society, media, and political movements continue to shape Pakistan's democratic institutions. Economically, Pakistan has grown through industrialization, agriculture, and technology, while also focusing on infrastructure projects such as CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, connecting the country to global trade networks. The nation is also home to innovative startups, cultural industries, and scientific research, demonstrating its modern potential. Culturally, Pakistan is a melting pot of traditions. From Sufi music and poetry to contemporary art, cinema, and literature, Pakistani culture blends ancient heritage with modern creativity. Festivals, cuisine, and local crafts showcase the country's rich diversity. On the global stage, Pakistan plays a key role in regional diplomacy, international trade, and strategic alliances. Its contributions to sports, science, and humanitarian efforts reflect the resilience and ambition of its people. Visual suggestions for YouTube, drone footage of major cities, mountains, and cultural landmarks. Scenes of political assemblies, protests, and democratic processes. Infrastructure projects like highways, bridges, and CPEC ports. Festivals, Sufi performances, traditional crafts, and local markets.